approached and has agreed to sit on the new Auckland waterfront agency when it starts next year. So there will be some Australian influence on this.
Yes, and I met with somebody from here. Who was it, David? Somebody who came to talk to me about convention centres recently.
Oh, Jamie.
Jamie.
And Garrick.
Gareth. Yes. Oh yes, there's Gareth. There he is. Yeah.
My name is Paul Dunphy. I'm from the City Events Group, and thank you for promoting events, especially in front of the Chief Executive.
Just like events.
How long did it take you to actually selling the value of events to your group, to your key stakeholders?
Well, look, we started off from 1999 when we formed as an entity, and we previously were the Sydney Cove Redevelopment Authority, the Darling Harbour Authority, and the City West Redevelopment Corporation, which was building Pyrmont at the time, and parts of those entities were already funding something or other for Australia Day and fireworks. So once we became a consolidated entity, we always did the New Year's Eve fireworks with the City of Sydney. It's really their gig, but we split the costs with them by half. We also are a major funder of the Sydney Festival, which occurs in January, and we've always done Australia Day from 1988, when suddenly it became fashionable to have an Australia Day event. So we already had a couple of those. New Year's Eve and Australia Day doesn't get much bigger than that in Australia, unless there's an Olympics or a Rugby World Cup or something on. And so we already had the iconic events. From the time Darling Harbour was built, we've always funded community events. By funding, it's a kind of quid pro quo. They don't pay anything to rent Tumbalong Park to say, we have Buddha's birthday is one of our big community celebrations. They don't pay us to rent the park, Tumbalong Park, but they rent stalls, hawkers from us, so they can have their, sell food or whatever they want to do. So we don't make any money from it, but it doesn't cost us anything either.
We're a long way behind you in developing our waterfront, but we've already run into problems, conflict between tenants or residents of inner city apartments, and conflict between them and activities happening adjacent to where they live, like concerns over noise. So I take it you've got some people living in your precinct. Are there conflicts, and how do you manage that?
When I was GM of Sydney Ferries, and I was there for 4 years, it was a wonderful opportunity, as David mentioned. I got this, there was something called the Toaster. Behind the Opera House, there's a row of buildings there that are on the foreshore, and I'm down at Circular Quay, my office is at Circular Quay. I get a letter from somebody, Sir somebody or other, QC, and he said, I want you to turn the jet cats off because they make too much noise. I didn't know how to tell him, if we turn the jet cat engines off, they're not going to be able to start them again because they were rather sensitive engines. And didn't he notice when he bought that apartment that there was actually a transport interchange of rail, bus and ferry right beneath him? But probably he didn't. So, I mean, what can you do? If the noise is already there, then you're probably going to be okay. But if you're creating new noise in a place where people have bought their multi-million-dollar apartments, then there is a challenge. There certainly is a challenge. I mean, we have a lot of trouble now that around Darling Harbour, a lot of people have bought, and again, although they're waterfront, so they're going to be expensive apartments, and people think they've got the right for you not to invade their privacy, and there is a tension with that. I mean, all you can do is have very strong noise limits, run events that aren't run too late into the evening, consult with your stakeholders. There's no magic answer to that at all, I'm afraid.
I noticed one of the earlier slides in terms of land holdings, Barangaroo
Yes.
wasn't included.
Well, Barangaroo, it's like when your children go to America and you say goodbye to them for a while and then they come back again and settle in your spare room. That's what's happened to us with Barangaroo. It was part of the Sydney Harbour Foreshore Authority. We bought that land from Ports about 3 years ago for $100 million, and we were planning to redevelop it. And then the government got a great idea that perhaps it should be a development authority of its own. So you know, we support it. My division supports all of their activities. There's only 20, there will be a maximum of 23 people in the Barangaroo Development Authority. When it's fully staffed, at the moment there's about 8 people, but it's a separate authority until such time as the development, the first and second stage of the development is complete, and then it will come back to us. As I say, it's like going to America and coming back. So for the minute, it's out there on a limb, but we have a very strong interrelationship with them. They're in our building. We look after them, you know, their HR and finance and IT and all that sort of stuff. So and we do a lot of comms for them. So in effect, they're just a little offshoot of ours. Okay, I think we're all done with questions, but I will be here. I'm not going anywhere, not into that rain. So lovely to meet with you all, and I hope to have a chat with you later. Thank you.
So, Egle, on behalf of the Council, I would like to thank you very much for your presentation. It's been fantastic to hear the learnings from Sydney. There's certainly a lot of application, as David said, that we can bring to New Zealand and to our waterfront, and you give us something to aspire to, and again help us to see how we need to raise the bar here. So thank you very much, and people, thanks very much for your attendance. We'll give her another hand.